Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Saturday, January 23rd, 2021. And I am tired today. I had a nice long run, but also I'm exhausted from watching the 100K world record attempt. And oh, wow, that was riveting. I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't watch the start. I watched a chunk of the middle, and then we went out for a family walk, had lunch, not lunch out, but we then came back and ate lunch. And then I caught the last maybe 20 minutes of that event, and whoa, so brutal to watch. Jim, spoiler alert, if anyone's hasn't seen the race or doesn't know the results already, pause it, I guess, or maybe come back to the live stream later. But I'm going to talk about it because it just happened and it's on my mind, and it's sports. So I feel like sports, like you don't get to do like spoiler alert. But yeah, I couldn't believe he just missed it. I mean, it was incredible. What an incredible effort. But before we talk a little bit more about that, let's say hi to everyone listening on the podcast. Hopefully by now, anyone listening on the audio version will have seen the results and knows what I'm talking about already. So you don't have to worry about that. And hopefully you guys are having a good run. And everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, same goes for you too, you guys too. If you haven't seen any of the coverage from the Project Carbon X2 100K attempt, go check that out first and then come back and then we can talk about it a little bit more here. Frank starts us off with the comments today saying, Walmsley missing by 11 seconds must be the most painful thing I've ever watched on YouTube. Yeah, for real. I mean, it reminds me of the Gary Robbins video where dreams go to die, like when he just misses hitting like that that barrier. You know, it's just like it was like the exact same thing, that gut punch feeling. And then you could see it. You could see it in Jim when he crossed the finish line. Like he just kind of like stood there and it looked like someone just like punched him in the chin, you know, and he just kind of like staggered and stopped for a second. Like he just didn't have anything. Well, I'm surprised that he could even stand. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible, but gut-wrenching too, because he had this giant straightaway to come down, and I mean, at first I'm like, oh, it looks like he's got a long way to cover, and I don't know if he's going to make it, but I'm like, but I think he's going to make it. Everyone's talking about he just has to cruise in, it's going to be fine, just float in, you'll be fine, just kind of keep going, just don't let the wheels fall off. But then like, it got closer and we were like 2.5. They were like, he's got a half mile left. And I was like, oh, I don't know if he's going to make it. Cause I was just like, that doesn't seem right. And then he did miss it by 11 seconds. Yeah. Dr. Fong says, got to feel bad for Walmsley, but this will propel him to become a much stronger runner. I mean, I certainly hope so. On the one hand, my first instance is like, how do you recover from that? But then and like immediately after that, I'm like, but you got so much strength there to draw from, you know? So like, it feels like a loss because he didn't get it, but it's an incredible achievement. Walter Souza says 11 seconds. That looked like a lifetime. I know. My chest was hurting for him. What a bummer, for sure. What a great sentiment. Frank says if the fence had been 3 inches to the left, he probably would have had it. Oh yeah. I mean, is that what happened to his arm? Like they didn't explain that as he's coming down the straightaway, or even in the last 20 minutes. And I remember looking at him, I'm like, oh, this might just be because I'm looking at it on my phone, and maybe that's just a glitch. And then I'm like, oh, does he have KT tape on his shoulder? I'm like, what did he do that he needs KT tape on there? And I was like, I don't think I saw him with that on early in the race. And so then I was just like, oh, he has a gash on his shoulder. What's going on? Oh man. I didn't realize that's what happened. John is here, says, hey everyone. John, I saw you in the comments of the Carbon X2 event. That was an interesting place to be. Philip says, hi everyone, passively listening and trying to catch some sleep. All right. Heard listening to Mike can be pretty relaxing. I've been told many times that I put people straight to sleep. So hopefully that'll work for you, Philip. And it says, hi Kofuzi and everyone, longest 11 seconds ever. Yeah, the live chat was so different to vibe on here. For sure. I mean, I immediately got on there and I recognized a lot of names. I saw Ben Y in there. I saw John in there. I saw a vegan runner in there. Lots of people that I recognize from here. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I started recognizing some other names that used to be here and used to be in the comments, but that have been blocked by many people's requests or just because they're harassing me. So I was like, oh, this is where people come. And then I was like, and then there's all these other people that are just feeding off it. And I'm like, oh, wow. I mean, what do you do? You come in for this for like 5 minutes, type a couple of nasty things, and then like leave? Is that the deal? But then when I came back to it later, like 6 hours later, those people were still there, still like stirring pots. And I'm like, can you imagine being this person in real life? Like their cortisol levels must just be through the roof because everywhere they go is just people like sniping back at them because they've sniped first, you know? And it's just like, oh, their lives just must be so miserable. I feel so bad for them. But yeah, it was a nasty place. I mean, I would say probably some of the most, I mean, like, it's funny because I was just watching Ben Park's video and he was talking about form and people he watches because he admires their form. And Jim Walmsley was one of them. And then the last 20 minutes of that 100K attempt where he's still clocking off miles at 6 minutes per mile, people are like, his form's terrible. And I'm just like, what? What are you guys talking about? Like, he's one of the prettiest strides I've ever seen. He runs like a deer. He just has so much pop to his legs. And then earlier on in the coverage when they were looking at Camille Herron, I'm like, someone had it right when they were like, everyone here commenting on Camille Herron's form has obviously never seen her run before. And I'm like, I am not like a trail running, ultra running enthusiast, but I know who that is. And I've seen her run before, and I'm like, that's how she runs. And she's one of the best runners in the world. So I'm like, you know, everyone's like, you know, she's got some valgus deformity going on. She's got to work on that. And I'm like, what? You're an expert enough to be able to diagnose someone from watching them on an internet live stream, but you don't know enough to know who that is. I don't know. It was just such a weird place. And I'm so thankful for you guys because there's no way this live stream would continue to exist if those people came here. So like, I was just like, oh, so thankful for you guys. So thankful for you guys after watching what was going on in there. Stephen Girdle says, yo, fellow Kofuzians. Good to see you, Stephen. And Frank says, yeah, it was weird. One of the biggest trolls in there looked like it was the official count of Swiss Peaks races. Yeah, I don't know what Swiss Peaks is, but like people were like, is this the official account? Why are you guys so grumpy today? I didn't say grumpy. That's my word, but people were grumpy. People were just wanting to be cantankerous. I don't know. I just feel like, you know, it was just a really crazy vibe. A really, really crazy vibe. Yeah, John said lots of trolls in the chat. Didn't like that at all, for sure. There was definitely no one in there moderating. I felt like there should have been someone in there. I mean, I feel like, you know, that's something that I would have gladly have volunteered for had they reached out, you know. I mean, they did reach out to me. I mean, today I ran in the Carbon X2, so I had a chance to run in them today as well. That's the shoe that was supposed to have been sent to me like a month ago, but then with the Chicago, Iowa kind of address stuff, you know, it got kind of got lost in the mix. So I didn't have a chance. I only got them. I got them in the mail after the live stream yesterday. So I hurried up and filmed the B-roll for the shoes last night, and then I ran in them today. And I would have enjoyed having more of a role. I mean, even just being like, you know, you could put someone in timeout for a little bit, you know, that would have been a really useful thing. Just to be like, you're in timeout for like 20 seconds. And I think the best way to do that, and I don't know if YouTube features this, I don't remember exactly how it works, is if like one of those trolls, like when you mute them for like, put them in timeout, like if they don't know that they're in timeout, so they're just still typing and like, how come no one's reacting to me? Like that just to me is like, seems like a very fitting way to address a troll. But yeah, it was yeah, I definitely didn't enjoy that aspect of it. What I did enjoy though was at the end, in that last 15 minutes, is just seeing like the flood of chat. That was everyone just encouraging and cheering from wherever in the world that they were. It was just so awesome. I mean, I saw everybody in there. So it was cool. I saw Ginger Runner in there. Seth was in there. Andy. Everyone else that I already mentioned, you know, Ben Y, Jana was in there. I mean, it was just amazing. It was such good energy at the end. And it just it didn't make me forget some of the earlier experiences, but I was glad that at least at the end, it was a pure experience. Louis Becerra says, yo, what's going on? And Tyler says, hey, I love the Chicago vids. My girlfriend has only started running. She asked for some tips on how to get better with breathing. Okay. I would say for breathing, there's a couple of ways to really do it. I usually time the inhales and exhales with paces, kind of like if you're, lifting weights in the gym, you want to time your exhales with when you're pushing or when you're exerting yourself, and then inhale on the down, on the, not the relaxing part, but the less strenuous portion of the exercise. So you kind of want to do that, but with running, you're always kind of doing something. So the way I think of it is time it with your footsteps, but use a pattern. So sometimes I do in with the nose for 2. So like right, left for 2, and then out for 2. And then it might be in through the nose, out through the nose, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Sometimes it's in 2, out 1. And then if you're really working hard, it's in 1, out 1. And so you can play around with those like ins and outs depending on your pace. You'll find like a rhythm that kind of works for you. So that's one way that I would recommend people kind of start thinking about breathing as they're running. Lewis says, I love this, the optimism here. Walmsley missed the record by 11 seconds. Kipchoge missed it by 26, and we all know what happened the second time. Yeah, but I feel like what's more daunting? Trying to break 2 hours and then missing it by 26 seconds and then trying to do it again, or missing a 100K record by 11 seconds and then having to train to run and like grind through another 6 hours and like 9 minutes again. Like the 100K aspect to it just makes it seem all the more gut wrenching to try and attempt again. I don't know. JC Sarah says, what's up, y'all? What's going on, JC? Where'd it go? DD said, I don't know. I saw something from DD. Sorry, everybody. I missed you. My mom's here. How's it going, Mom? Hopefully New Jersey's doing well. Teddy Man Tactico says, live stream. Awesome, Teddy. David Sack says, hi, everyone. Lupe Hernandez is here. Benoit says, it was brutal. Oh, yeah, it sure was. Roadrunner Reviews is here. Good to see you again. And David Litstone says, he's only going to be here for a little bit. Need to get some rest, but we're being in a break. The time trial's tomorrow, right? Is it a 1K, or is it 3K? I forget what the distance was. Yeah, Lewis says Walmsley went solo since the 40K mark? Was it? That's a hell of an effort. It is. I thought he was only alone for the last 30, but I didn't catch like the big chunk in the middle. Eric DeRed is here, says, good day, friends. What's going on, Eric? And GD says, I bet Hoka sales spike this weekend. I mean, I hope so for them. I mean, that's the whole, not the whole point, but, marketing / sport, I think it's a pretty fun combination of stuff. Yeah. And then at the end, when he didn't break the record, people were like, he should have worn X%. Oh, man. Some people just can't help themselves. You know what we need? I mean, I've been telling you guys how I love those progressive commercials. Like we can't stop you from being like your parents, and they got that like coach where all these young people are acting like their parents. And there's that one spot when they're all at the hardware store, right? They go on like a field trip. And then one woman is like on her phone, speakerphone. She's like, for lunch, I only had a little snack. And then I had a big dinner. And then they're like, oh, look what's going on here. She's using speakerphone in a store. Is that something we should be doing? And then like later on, they're standing by like the light bulbs and a dude with like blue hair walks by. And then the coach goes, we all see it. We all see it. And then one of the guys just can't help himself and goes, that guy has blue hair. Right? I feel like we need like a Nike intervention for some people. Like we all know you're thinking it. We know, but this is a Hoka event. Like keep it to yourself. And people are like, what next %? They can't help it. I think it's so funny. It's very, very, very funny. Greg HRS, what's going on, Greg? Says Carbon X was awesome. Seems like every pro in Arizona now training. I know boys at Tinman are grinding that. Yeah, I mean, this is a good year for Arizona, right? I mean, I feel like Arizona's been getting a lot of good press as far as running just generally with NAZ Elite and NAU up there as well, with all the stuff that's going up in Flagstaff. But then, like, you had Marathon Project out in kind of this area as well, Scottsdale-ish area, and then this event as well. It's kind of like the same area, right? I mean, everything's kind of in that same area in Phoenix, right? Just because it's a desert and just anything that's out there is kind of close, I think. But like, yeah, I mean, I love Arizona, and it even went blue this last election. So I mean, like, now it's like, oh, is this a place I can actually go again? My last travel trip was to Arizona, too. I was out there for a work conference, and I do love running up in Arizona. Great place. Baxter says it's so bitter. It was epic YouTube though. It was great. It was great YouTube. I mean, talk about entertaining. It was so entertaining to watch. I mean, whew, coming down the end. Yeah. Martha says, where did the challenge take place? It was somewhere in Arizona. I thought at some sort of speedway, and like the general grounds of that speedway. So it was like each loop was 7 miles, was it? Something like that. So, yeah. But yeah, somewhere warm. They said it was overcast for most of the day, although it looked like they had some shadows to contend, like, so they had some sun to contend with for the last probably the last lap or so, maybe more than that. But I think the conditions were pretty good for it. But it was funny because, like, I don't know how like the algorithm fed this event to people, but there was so many people out there. They were like, I don't understand why you didn't have pacers. Why didn't they just bring in new pacers like halfway through the race? Why don't they have that? Why does he have to stop? Why don't they just hand him his waters? Like, I was just like, oh, well, there's a lot of people here. People that are like, I mean, I guess with the Breaking 2 project, since it was very different, people, are understanding different things or anticipating different things. But it was a cool event. I mean, I think that this is like the fact that these kinds of spectacles are happening. Breaking 2, they had the last year's Carbon X event. I forget what distance was it, a 50-mile distance last time, and now this 100K event. I feel like those are great for the sport. In terms of it, I still consider it to be relatively like young as far as a professional sport in like the commercial sense of the word is. So I feel like these are the kinds of things that it needs to have for it to really develop. Mark Sanderson says, greetings from Atlanta. Watching Walmsley fall short sucked, but I think he will take it and get stronger. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, the other part of me is like wondering, like, I don't know Jim Walmsley or what's in his head, but it's like at that point, are you like, I feel pretty good about, coming in second, not really breaking the record. I got other things that I want to do that are going to take a different level of training. I don't know if he does that, or is second fastest ever good enough? Or if you're 11 seconds, you're like, I got to go back. I got unfinished business. I don't know. Ben says he I think puked afterwards as well. I mean, what other sport is there where the athletes throw up afterwards? Running is epic. Well, I didn't see him do that, but that's pretty incredible. Yeah. All right. Let's keep scrolling down here a little bit. Jody's here. Good to see you, Jody. I'm far behind. I gotta look at these timestamps. Sorry, I'm just gonna scroll down. If you had a question, anyone that's new here, welcome. I'd love to hear where you're from if you're comfortable sharing that. There's no structure for today. We're just hanging out. The big news for today was that 100K attempt that ended literally like within the last hour. So that's kind of on my mind. But if you have any running questions or any questions at all, feel free to drop them in at any time. All right. Ina said Jim had a quality puke at the end. That guy was trying his hardest out there. Oh, yeah. I mean, you could see him. People were giving him a hard time because he kept looking at his watch. And they were like, stop looking at your watch. You're wasting so much energy. You would have had it. You would have had 11 seconds faster if you stopped looking at your watch so much at the end. And Kerry Tollefson actually, I don't think that the announcers were looking at the chat. Goodness, I hope they weren't. But because I would be embarrassed for all of us as spectators if they did that. But like Kerry Tollefson was like, no. He needs to look at that watch. That's what's keeping him going. He like knows he needs to know how close he is to the finish. That's what's letting him know like when to like. And she didn't elaborate it, but like that's kind of like no. He needs it. He doesn't need to stop looking at it. You need to keep letting him look at it. So I was like, I don't know that I agree with that, but I felt like it was a really interesting perspective. And I've certainly been, I'm definitely guilty of that, where I'm like, when is this going to be over? You know. Stephen Gershom says, competitive eating is another sport where athletes throw up after. Here's the, I mean, maybe you guys know, like if you're in the hot dog eating contest, for example, like there has to be some sort of like period of time where you don't throw up before it's still counted as, but like if you throw up like an hour later, I presume it's still a win. But if you like finished and then immediately threw up, that wouldn't probably count as a win, right? I'm not sure. Chris Yao says, my son Esteban is here visiting this weekend. He's being forced to watch his first live stream. Well, welcome, Esteban. I hope you enjoy. It's a pretty fun group here. Jody says, can claim drinking as a sport as I've been known to drink if I put in a big effort. That's funny. Curtis Lost says, hey, chat and Kofuzi, so happy today. Softening endorphin speed, finally available in Brazil. Oh, that's cool. Wow, it took a long time for it to get to you guys. Oh, but I hope you enjoy it. It's a fun shoe. Really fun shoe. I don't know how to say that. Jan CHR period. What is that for? What does that mean? Jan CHR Harem Peterson. I'm trying to think of what is that abbreviation? Anyway, Hyperion Tempo versus Turbo 2. That's a close one. I really like the Turbo 2. I might give it to the Turbo 2 for that one. The DNA Flash and the Hyperion Tempo is a pretty special foam, but that Turbo 2 has so much versatility. You can use it for long, slow runs. I mean, I've done like moderate 20 milers in it, and you can use it for speed work. You could use it on the track. There's just so much you can do with that shoe. So I'd go with that one. Let's see. Ramiro Valdez says, hi, Ko, from Guatemala in Central America. Awesome. You sent a question. Ooh, let me see if I can find it. Reed Morris, in the meantime, Reed Morris says, just ran 14 in the speeds this morning. Still the best. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Let me see if I can find that. Sorry, I don't see the question right away. If you want to, can you type it again? Sorry about that. And then I'll find it. All right. Ilya Kim says, I personally think the event is incredibly boring to watch just because it's 6+ hours and there's no crowd. I mean, there's certainly that, but yeah, I think that if there were more competitors, I think that would have made it a little bit different. And if it were, a championship style race rather than when there was more strategy involved rather than like trying to beat a world record, because I feel like the approach and the race, the event dynamics changed considerably because of that. But what was funny is one of the announcers where I didn't like the male, the older guy announcer as much. And he was like, people were asking me, what are we going to talk about for 6 hours? But we found a way to talk about something for 6 hours. And I was like, were people doubting you? I feel like that shouldn't be a doubt in your mind if you're going to take on this job. All right. CS2 says, hi from Hong Kong. Oh, what's going on, CS? Welcome. Yeah, Mark Sanderson is like, I think he uses the watch as a motivator to keep pushing. Yeah, that's what Kerry Tollefson was saying, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Frank says, I don't know why they didn't have the kilometers/miles info on the infographics. I think that was a surprise too. And that's definitely something that a lot of people complained about in the chat. Or like, where are the splits? Because I remember, there was that triathlon event in Daytona. It wasn't triathlon, but it was a run, bike, swim event, right? It wasn't triathlon brand event in Daytona. And they were saying that like the company that put that on really nailed it. There was just constantly on-screen graphics of some sort. So you had a sense of what was going on aside from what the camera was showing you. And so I thought that was pretty cool. But I think that at some point, I don't know, maybe they'd always planned on it, but like towards the end of the broadcast, at least the part that I caught at the end, like it looked like they were doing a lot more split screen of like the men and female leaders, where in the beginning I felt like it was very heavy, like on, you know, you only saw one or the other. Now, personally, I didn't like that as much because I just thought, I don't know, it was harder for me to watch because I was looking at my phone because it just made my image smaller. And so like I preferred it to have one or the other. And here's the other thing that I think is like a missed opportunity, and I know it probably makes the production of it like an order of magnitude more difficult. You're broadcasting this on YouTube, right? So why not give us like two feeds, a men's and a women's feed? You can use the same audio for both, but like and have the commentators just like comment on both. So you don't need like a second commentating team, but just you've got a camera on each already, but someone in a control booth is like clicking this one, that one, or maybe like both split screen, you know, so there's someone's at a control board controlling it. But when it's on YouTube, just post both up and then you can have a third one, you know, so like just have like 3 live streams at the same time. So I don't know. That's where there's a lot of things that I think you can do with it. But you know, at the same time, like, I don't know, like maybe like even just getting it up there might have been an accomplishment depending on what kind of team and infrastructure they had available for an event like this in a time like this. So I was just happy to see a race. Martha says, remember Man versus Food? Is that still on TV? Adam, whatever his name was, had to quit. It was obviously affecting him. Yeah, he did quit. But I think he has another food show now. Yeah, I don't think it's on TV anymore, but there are others who have like kind of taken up that torch, I think. Teddy Man asks, Kofuzi, have you ever run backwards? It is awesome as long as you can guarantee that you won't hit against any object along the way. I did it, but on low paces and for quite a period of time. I've never done it for a long period of time. I've heard it suggested to people to try, like if things go really, if things get really messed up during a marathon and you're having a hard time, your legs are locking up, like running backwards, doing some skipping, like doing some lateral strides, you know, or like side gallop kind of things, or ways to kind of like maybe reset your legs if you're having a hard time. So that's something that I've seen done. I've seen it as a drill to like, you know, run backwards, quick steps kind of thing. But I never really tried doing it for a long distance. The closest thing to that I would say that I do is occasionally I will, if I have a nice flat straight, I'll close my eyes and run. Christopher Rochelle says, I was trying to convince my partner how amazing Bob Campanion's pukes were during the 95 Olympic trials. She wasn't on board after we watched the video. I'm not aware of that. I have to go look that up. All right, let's scroll back down to the bottom here. All right. Yeah, Affluent Journey says, did you watch any of the Hoka live stream? Yeah, we were talking about it. We've been talking about it. I watched the beginning. I didn't catch the start, but I watched about at the hour mark. I watched for about an hour or so then, and then I caught the last like 20 minutes. Pretty incredible. And then I was like kind of like jumping in here and there in between that too, but you know, Saturday's a lot of family stuff. Oh, okay. Mr. Ram says, great to see you and Jameis on IG Live the other day. Look forward to the collab at some point this year. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about some stuff to do projects. So I'm usually the holdup because I'm bad at returning communications. So I have to check to see if there's been any developments on that end. But yeah, I was working on yesterday's video, just sitting in this seat, and then I saw that Jameson was going live. So I just hopped in. And he's like, you got to get in on this video. So I was like, okay, let's hop in. So I was only there for a couple minutes, but it was fun. It was good to see him. He was in good spirits, which is always good to see. It makes my day when I see him in good spirits. What is this? LMFF? This is quite a avatar you got there, LMMF. It's like a weird sketch of someone stretching. It looks like someone stretching. I got to do it this way. Someone stretching down there. May I ask how often you will take a bath if you're running to the office? I usually don't. So there's a couple of things that I've done. I mean, I've done it occasionally. I got a membership to a gym downtown, And so like if I really knew I was going to be gross, I would run to the gym and take a shower there. So I've done that occasionally. My running buddy, he has a shower like in his building, like his office building. There's a gym that goes to that office building, and the office building tenants can use it. So he does that. But the baby just woke up from a nap, and she's grumpy. And then whenever the baby cries, it upsets the dog. So it's a little bit of noise back here. But frequently I would run commute like in colder weather. So I don't run commute as much when it's like super, super hot out. And so I do it in the colder weather. So by the time I get there, it's always an easy run, or I take it easy. And so I get there. If I'm a little bit gross, I have like the body wipes. So that's kind of like, that's what we do. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. And not really Hank Asher, is Jamison Michaels weightlifting? Is that what he was doing? I don't think that's what I think he was on the track that day. So, yeah. Mark B says, what's the best running scheme to follow for gaining running top speed and getting better endurance? I want to get the most out of my time. I'm 17 years old and pretty fit. Yeah. I was listening to a podcast this morning. It was like the Coop running podcast. It's like an ultra running podcast, but not that I'm necessarily listening to a lot of ultra running podcasts, but I was listening to that one because he interviewed Steven Seiler, who's a sports scientist, pretty famous dude. And I talked a lot about kind of this idea. And he says for longer distance, like long distance running or cycling or rowing activities, generally the best indicator for performance is amount of time training. I mean, regardless of like micro schema, you know, what are the special killer workouts that you're doing, things like that. He's like, just time working is usually the strongest indicator. And I think that if you're 17 years old and pretty fit, my suggestion is you just run more, add more mileage in a safe way so that you don't get hurt. But running more is going to be the answer that I give you. That's going to help. I mean, at 17 years old, pretty fit, like with whatever you're, assuming you're in cross country or you're in track, you're in a team or where you're going to be running and training under the guidance of a coach, and racing a lot. So I would say that's probably going to handle your speed. But for your endurance and to help you close out your races in terms of building aerobic engine, just run a lot of easy miles. That's what's going to help you a lot. All right. Cooper Davis says, all the Adidas 2021 look exactly the same as each other. They do. I like that. I mean, I think there should be symmetry or like a consistency in the theme. Like, it bothers me, for example, today, like the New Balance, the video I made is New Balance Beacon 3 versus the 880. Those two shoes don't match. They don't like look like each other. You know, I feel like there should be like a look, that a design language that permeates the line, for that year. I mean, they do it with cars all the time. So like, I think that's nice, but I haven't seen I still haven't seen any images of the Boston 10 yet. But the Adizero and Adios 2, I don't think that they look the same as like the Ultra Boost 21. So like, I don't think that there's that much symmetry in the design language there, but we'll see. I'll have to look for it. Ilya Kim says, at my new work, we have luxury of a gym with sauna and everything. Too bad it's pandemic and I'm on remote. I mean, that sounds nice. That sounds really nice. Yeah, I mean, there was a time, like when I had my last office built out, I didn't have it built out, but I was like looking at, when I was looking at renting it, I was like, how much would it cost to have like a bathroom put in here with a shower? And they're like, this is how much it costs. I'm like, I can't justify that as a business expense because I'm the only one that really uses it. But wouldn't it be nice? That's really cool. Ramiro says, here's Ramiro's question. I have pain on the inner part of my left knee. Every time I lift to my left to my right leg, like forming number 4, I feel the pain. Did you feel the same pain on your knee? Any advice? I don't have any advice for you. That's very different than the pain that I felt on my knee. So I can't help you with that. It's beyond my set of experiences. Sorry, Ramiro. Dr. Funk says, Mike, have you heard of Tempo Talks podcast? It's a great podcast. I believe so. Or I think maybe, am I confusing that? Is that the one with the Australian guy? Or I think I'm confusing that with something else. I'll have to see. Reed says, to see the similarity in the Adidas models for 21, check out the Boston 10, Adizero X, and Adios Pro 2. Yeah, I'll have to look at those. I mean, I see the similarity in the Adizero X and the Adios Pro 2. And I'm glad there should be similarity between those, I think, but Boston 10, I'll have to look for it. People have been mentioning that they've been seeing it, but I haven't seen anything yet. Jody says to Ramiro, have a scan. It's most likely bursitis of the knee. Dr. Joe on YouTube has some good videos. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, Ramiro, what I would do, given like the current like situation of the world, is I'd probably just start Googling your symptoms. I mean, that could be a rabbit hole, and that could lead you to a lot of bad information too. But just kind of get some ideas and narrow it down. If kind of everything that you're looking at is like, yeah, you're gonna have to need to see a doctor about that, that gives you an idea. If there's a lot of videos that are out there or articles that are out there like, yeah, this is something you can fix at home, you just got to do these tweaks, then that gives you an idea. I'm not saying any one of those things are necessarily going to be right, but that's kind of like, that was my approach. Maybe it's not the most prudent thing to do, but as a layperson who doesn't really want to go seek medical attention right now, that's what I did. So, Affluent Journey says, can you beat SJD in the half? No, I think, yeah, I mean, he could run a 21K faster than I could run a 15K, I think. So I think that's kind of like the difference. He'd have to give me 6K of a head start, and then I might be able to beat him. My half PR is like 126 or something like that. Maybe 127. I think it's like 126. So yeah. So I'm only 22 minutes behind him. Yeah. So I need about like 5 6K of a head start. Carrie Smith says, are you picking up the Ultra Boost 21? Yes, I will. It doesn't come out in the US till the end of the month, as far as I know. I looked for them the other day. Someone tweeted me about them, and I was like, are you going to get these? And I was like, yeah. Well, he was like, when is your video coming out? I was like, oh, I don't even have the shoe yet. So, yeah. Yeah, but I'm not like super in a rush to get them. But, I definitely will pick them up. I did like the Ultra Boost 20 a lot. It didn't feel like an Ultra Boost, so maybe that's why I liked it so much. But it'll be really weird. I think this one's going to be really weird. I have a feeling I'm not going to like it. That's maybe why I'm not so excited about it. So we'll see. Ben Browning is here. Good to see you, Ben. All right. Dr. Funk 1216 says, do you think you could beat Seth at the 100 meters? No, I don't think that there's a race that I could beat Seth in. I mean, like, because normally I would say, like, all right, just keep extending the distance, and then maybe I've got a shot at beating the person. But, like, no, there's not a distance, because he's coming from ultra distances down to, or at least trail races, from down to, like, road races. So there's just no way. There's no race that I think I could beat him in. And Bob Percy says, SJD is faster than Ben Parks. Is he? Yeah, I don't really know how fast Ben Parks is. I mean, I know Ben Park. I mean, both of those guys are in a place where like I don't do the math for how fast they are, because I'm just like they're just ridiculous fast. So it's like I don't even know. So I don't even know. Ben Browning says, Mike, on VU2 query, hitting 60 plus goal, I'm 50. I'm not. I don't. All right, back. Sorry about that. Some internet issues. I had to basically disconnect and come back. All right. You guys have so many funny questions. Let's see, where were some of those questions? All right, Ben Browning's question was, he is 50 years old and VF to 59. Oh yeah, to get 60 plus. Yeah, I mean, if you're only one away, then just a little bit more work and you'll get there. I mean, that's impressive. Good work. Let's see. Lewis says, oh, okay. Well, here you go. Frank says, Ben Park's marathon is 240. Oh, and SJD is 220-ish. Ben Park's is a 240. I thought he was faster than that. I almost said only 240, but like 240 is an amazingly fast speed. Interesting. Gary Beatty is from Manchester, UK. 13 miles while snowing this morning. Ooh, snow on your eyes isn't pleasant. I know the feeling. But isn't it fun to run in the snow? I just love running in the snow. Even when it's like the weird pelting kind and it really hurts your face, even that I feel like is like, it makes for a good story, I feel like. But I do love running in the snow. But 13 miles is a long way to run in the snow. Good on you, Gary. All right. Affluent Journeys did 10 miles and 126 yesterday. Yeah. I mean, the 126 is a race. I was in peak fitness. So like, I don't think I could I do 10 miles in 120 and 126? I think I did 10 miles this week in 90 minutes I think that was yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday I also did 10 miles yesterday in I think like 130. Frank says, can you beat Seth at the pole vault? I think I could beat him at the pole vault. I could probably high jump better than Seth. I could probably long jump better than Seth. I mean, I haven't had any practice in a while, any of those events, but I think I could probably give me like a couple hours, and I think we could work that out. But I mean, that's about it. Steven thinks I could beat him on the 100 meters. I don't think so. I don't think so. Dr. Fong wants to know, could you have beat him in tax law knowledge though? Possibly. I know very little about tax law, so I don't know. these are funny questions. Jody says, have you checked out the In the Long Run channel? Yeah. Dr. Josh, he's super fast. What is Dr. Josh's speed? He's in like American development. He's in that level of speed. So I don't know what his marathon time was. He was working on a big buildup for last year's Chicago Marathon. That's when I first kind of started watching his videos. Let's see. Mark B says, is there a way to measure VO2 max at home? Not directly, not in the like put a face mask on. Like there's no like face mask you can buy and like hook it out to a computer. Oh, I suppose one could do that. But I mean, that'd be pretty expensive, I think. And there's not really like a commercially available kit for that. It's mostly for labs. I think though, what a lot of people have are their watches will estimate it. Garmin does it by looking at like all of your training, like your heart rate and your exertion, like overall your training, and it will update it like dynamically for you. Some Polar watches have a feature where it'll give you basically like a mimicked VO2 max test, where you kind of run and it gets incrementally faster and faster and faster until you can't run anymore, and then it spits out a number for you. So that's usually what people are talking about. KU Mamiya says Spencer Brown will work all of them. Yeah, for sure. What is Spencer though? Is he a half miler? He's a half miler, right? I don't remember what was his event in college. But for sure, he's I think almost literally half my age as well. So that's something to think about. Yeah. Yeah, I was watching a video. I don't know if you guys have watched any Everett Silva videos. And that every time I watch any of his videos, I just instantly feel really old. He had one where he was shotgunning White Claws, which seems like a really weird, like yin and yang, masculine, feminine, weird thing to do. But he was shotgunning, I think, White Claws with his dad. He's like shotgunning with my dad. And he was like, my dad's 40, my dad's 42. And I was like, oh, that's like my age. So there we go. That was interesting. Yeah. Jeff Ellie says, I was watching the Hoka thing and messing with the bike and almost missed the live stream. Yeah, I saw you in there, Jeff. I was I don't remember when it was in there, but I definitely saw you in the chat there. All right, let's go to some chat from after the after the freeze. Let's see. Andreas Kaluza says, how old are you, Kofuzi? I'm 41. Yep. Roto Reviews asks, have you ever had a shoe you really hated and then found out it was your go-to shoe later on? Mine is the Adidas SL20 2.0. Oh, really? I still haven't picked up the SL22 yet. I just wish they would call it something else. Just like we've all been calling it the version 2, but Adidas just calls it the SL20, which I think is weird. Yeah, so that's interesting. I've had shoes that I've come around on, a lot of Hokas, but never that I was like, this sucks. And then we're like, oh man, I really like this shoe. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you're liking it. And then we saw something in here from a follow-up on Athlete Special, saying, where'd it go? That he's a miler. Yeah, Spencer's a miler. His greatest life. Oh, that's right. He made a big movie about going under 4. I don't think I've seen that one, but I know that, yeah, that was a big deal for him. Very cool. Very cool. Robin Ronquillo says, what's going on, Robin? Says, I just picked up the collab shirt. Should be here Tuesday. Awesome. Very cool. I think that larges and XLs are sold out. There's still some mediums left, and then smalls and extra smalls. So that's what's left. I'm worried about the extra smalls. I think there's a lot of those left. We'll see how it goes. Gogi says, or Koji says, just watch a video breaking that 220 minus age thing. Apparently there's like not science behind it. The citations are bad. Interesting. Teddy Man says, Pro Direct Running gives us the option to write our name from 4 letters on the SL20s. Really? How do you do that? I don't have to look at that. 2310 Lamvey. I'm sure I said that wrong. Looking at that, trying to figure out what that is. It says, do beginners need a tempo shoe as well as daily trainer? I have the 1080 V10. I think it depends on what you mean by beginner. I think that it's helpful to have more than one shoe, depending on if you're running more than 3 days a week. I think it's helpful to have more than one shoe. Whether it needs to be a tempo shoe is up to you. I think that probably what's the most prudent thing for most people that are working on like developing their fitness would be to have either another daily trainer or maybe something that's in the max cushion category. But you have the 1080 V10, which I normally put into the max cushion category. And so I would say, like, if you looked at something that was kind of like a speedier daily trainer or a tempo shoe, I think that would be a lot of fun for you. But also would give you something else to kind of give that 1080 V10 a little bit of a break, so that you're not constantly just beating up that one shoe. Matt Mateos, where did that go? Matt Mateos says, what do you suggest for a marathon? Zoom Fly 3, Pegasus 37, maybe shooting for a sub 3. I'd rather go with the Zoom Fly 3 than the Peg on that one. Just because I feel like the Zoom Fly 3, it's got the carbon fiber plate in it. They both have React Phone and a bunch of it. But I think I'd rather just be in the Zoom Fly 3 than the Pegasus because it's a little bit more race oriented than the Peg 37 is. Yeah. Leona says, I personally appreciate the extra small size. My mom does too. So my mom got one in extra small. So I knew that there would be some people that would want it. So I'm glad that there were some there. JC says, I don't trust Garmin for heart rate data. What should I make of the VO2 max info? I don't buy it. I mean, if you don't trust the heart rate data, like for example, I can't get a good reading from my wrist. And so if I only had a wrist heart rate monitor, like from the watch, then it's going to be off because it's going to think that you're constantly running at like a near max heart rate level all the time. So, and that's going to affect your reading. So if that heart rate is off, then the data that flows therefrom will also be off. All right, let's do a couple more. Jeff Elliott says, if you were going to recommend another daily option to diehard Pegasus fan, what would it be? Beacon. That's the one. The other one to look at, and I'm disappointed that they discontinued making it though. But if you ever find one, is the Odyssey React Flynet, or technically the Odyssey React 2 that had Flynet in it. It was a weird naming system that they had for it. But that one, to me, I felt like when they were going to make the Peg 37, I thought it was going to feel more like that shoe, because that shoe feels like more like a Pegasus than the Pegasus 37 does to me. The thing with that shoe though is the sizing was off, so I would size up. But those were the two that I like really recommend for a diehard Pegasus fan. Teddy Man says, before I started running and realized that this sport has its own shoes, I own 3 pairs of Flyknits for powerlifting. I totally flattened them. Yeah, I worry not that I go to the gym very much, but anytime that I do, I worry. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't wear running shoes, or like my shoes that I'm still actively training in for these, because I'm worried that like, it's not that it's going to flatten them, but that it's going to load them in a different way than I'm running in them. And that was something that would concern me. But in reality, I probably wasn't lifting anything heavy enough to make a real difference. Andreas wants to know, what's my max heart rate level? I think when I did the VO2 max test on the Polar Watch, I think it was 181. Which at the time was when I was 40, which is only one off of 220 minus 180. Or 220 minus age. So... Spence wants to know, anyone else use Wahoo for heart rate monitors? I've used a Wahoo ticker. I think it was a chest strap. It worked. It works great. It was accurate as far as I can tell, and it was a good price. But it was big. That was the only thing I didn't like about it. Ramiro says, since April of 2020, I've only been running on a treadmill. I bought it because of the pandemic. Good move. No outdoor runs. Do you think much treadmill runs can hurt the joints? I run 4 to 5 times per week. I don't think so, because the treadmill, if anything, is going to be easier on your joints because it's softer. There's a natural like bounce to it that even if it doesn't have like a specific shock system, it gives a lot more than pavement does. If you're worried about it being bad on your joints, what I would do is occasionally have kind of like, most treadmills have like the random hill thing where it like sometimes incline goes up and then not as much up and then really high up and then it just bounces around. I would set it to that and do that, like once a week or so, because then that will just load your legs a little bit differently, and so that way that'll ease off some parts of your joints and load other parts of your joints. So I think that would be good if you're concerned about that. 2310 says, why does Maffetone get so much hate? I don't know, but he gets a lot. It makes people grumpy, really grumpy. But, Adrian Castro says, favorite workout to improve speed? Probably my favorite is one that kind of looks like Yasso 800s. But my favorite workout, if I have a workout that I like to do for 5Ks, it's probably not a really great 5K workout, but I use it to kind of tune up a little bit. I go and do a total of 5K worth of work at my goal marathon pace. So, it's faster than like what I'm currently able to do, but it gets me used to running at my goal race pace. And so it's 5 800s, and then the last rep is a 1,000. So it's total of 1,000 meters of work, with like a 100 meter jog in between each one. So that's one that I like to do. I was looking up Yasso 800s, trying to figure out like how to do them. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the Yasso 800, it's basically like if you want to run a 3-hour marathon, you need to do a good like test, not only a strength workout, like a strengthening workout, like a speed workout, but also a good like kind of like dipstick. Are you ready to run that marathon pace? Is if you can do like 8 to 10 by 800 at your kind of like marathon number. So if your goal marathon is 3 hours, your 800s need to be at 3 minutes. So it's kind of like the same number, not units, but like the same number. And so like if you can't do that, then you're not ready to run that marathon pace yet. But if you can do it, that means you are ready to run that marathon pace. So like that's an interesting workout. And the reason I was looking up is like, what is the rest for those? And as far as I can tell, the rest for those is supposed to be the same amount of time as your rep. So it's an equal distribution of 1-to-1 work and rest. So if it's 3 minutes for the work, 3 minutes jog rest. So I feel like that's something we were talking about the other day in the live stream is like, how do you figure out the rests? So yeah, I might do some Yasso 800s for a workout. I think that'd be fun once like the track melts a little bit more. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it for today. Tomorrow's video is going to be about the Carbon X2. I'm pretty excited about it. I really like it. So that'll be tomorrow. And then we'll do another live stream in the afternoon. Same time, 3 p.m. Central Time, right here on YouTube. Hopefully I'll see you guys again tomorrow. And thank you just again, one more time, for being such a great community of people to hang out with every day. The chat here is an amazing place. And I really like being here. Thank you guys for being great. I really appreciate it. All right. In the meantime, till I see you guys again, be safe out there. Thanks.